How's it going, everybody? Tim Murray riding solo today from the Daily Line on NBC Sports Radio. As you can see, the chair is empty. That is usually occupied by Michael Jenkins. You know where he is today? Take a guess. A Kiss concert. So he is out today, but hey, what you do on your vacation time is your own business. But he's at a Kiss concert, and hopefully he's enjoying himself. So that means you're stuck with me, but we're going to talk Sweet 16, and man, what a weekend it was for the favorites. 16-0 on Saturday and Sunday. Couple close calls, certainly. LSU, it's the late finger roll from Tremont Waters. I know some people, Maryland fans in particular, wanted to travel there. You're not going to get that call. And, of course, the Duke-UCF game coming down to the wire and Duke getting the last-second bucket and the fortunate roll out from UCF. So the favorites 16-0 straight up, 11-5 against the number. So I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say there will be an upset come Thursday or Friday. In the game that I'm looking at, and it's not a massive line by any stretch. You're not going to get a ton of value on the money line, but the one that I'm pretty confident in is Texas Tech. I think this is a tremendous matchup. You've got two phenomenal coaches. Beeline on Michigan's bench, Chris Beard on Texas Tech's bench. What Texas Tech does have, they have a lottery pick on their squad in Jarrett Culver, and he played very well against Buffalo. And you look at that offense, and that's what's really intrigued me about Texas Tech down the stretch. They have had games where their offense has the ability to get into the high 70s, low 80s type of range, but they also can suppress teams offensively because it is the number one defense per KenPom in the country. Now, Michigan, great defensively as well. Number two, when you look at the KenPom analytical defensive rating. So it's going to be a really strong defensive matchup come Thursday night in Anaheim in the West region. But I lean towards Texas Tech. You can get them plus 105 on the money line as they're about a 1.5-point underdog against Michigan. Something that just hasn't stuck right with me with Michigan this year is the fact that they went 0-3 against Michigan State. They weren't able to pull off a big win. Early on in the year, they were blowing everybody out, but it seemed like they came down to earth just a little bit. Still a tremendous team and made it to the Big Ten championship game. And as we have seen, the Big Ten has fared quite well in the NCAA tournament. But I like this Texas Tech team to win it outright, a close, low-scoring game. But give me Texas Tech. I'll take them on the money line, plus 105. And here's something to look at. The West region, if you look at the futures of the four teams remaining, Gonzaga, Florida State, Texas Tech, and Michigan, you can get Texas Tech right now at the Westgate Superbook to come out of the West region at plus 500. I think that's really good value when you look at Gonzaga taking on Florida State. Now, I don't know if I can pull the trigger on Florida State to beat Gonzaga outright. I've been impressed by Gonzaga these first two games. I'm a big Gonzaga believer, but I think Florida State is a very difficult matchup for Gonzaga with their length, with their athletic ability. So Texas Tech, to me, at 5-1 to come out of the West is a good value play when you look at all of the region futures. So I would take Texas Tech at plus 500 to come out of the West region. So speaking of the favorites, so going back to the favorites, one game that I know a lot of people have their eye on, and John Murray, the director over at the Westgate Superbook, said Oregon right now is setting up to be the square dog. Now, the square dog is the play that everybody is throwing money down on. The public cannot get enough of that particular team. And do you know who that was over the weekend? Murray State. Went off as a 4.5-point underdog, and Florida State came out and mopped the floor with them. I was on Florida State personally, and I'm going to be on UVA on Thursday night. Now, I know 8.5 points, a lot of points for a team like Virginia, who is such a strong defensive team. But let's look at a couple trends. Oregon is a 12 seed. Let's remember that. Now, they lost Bowl in December, had to reinvent the wheel to an extent, and they have been playing phenomenal down the stretch. They have won 10 straight games, and guess what they've done in all those 10 games? They've covered the number. So Oregon is red hot. But all time, 12 seeds against 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament, 0-19 straight up. And in the last 12 games, the 1 seeds are 9-3 against the number. Oregon's got a great defense, held both UC Irvine and Wisconsin to 54 points, but I think at times people don't believe that UVA has the ability to have a big game offensively. Now, when you look at the analytic ratings, KenPom has UVA in adjusted offensive efficiency as number 2 in the country and number 3 in defense. That's because they've got a lottery pick in DeAndre Hunter. They've got Ty Jerome. They've got Kyle Guy. And Diakite played tremendous in their victory over Oklahoma. And Kyle Guy, to me, is such an important cog come Thursday night. I just can't fathom Kyle Guy continuing to be this ice cold from three-point land. Now, this is the same Kyle Guy that on a big Monday at Syracuse had an 8 for 10 game from 3. In the ACC tournament in the quarterfinals against NC State, he went 7 of 9 from 3. But since that game, the loss against Florida State, Gardner-Webb, and Oklahoma, he is 3 for 20 from long range. That is just 15%. He went 0 of 10 against Oklahoma. So I think Kyle Guy steps up big against Oregon, and I would take the over 14.5 points for Kyle Guy. That's a prop out there. And then converse, on the other side, you look at Peyton Pritchard, who has played very well for Oregon, had a big game against UC Irvine when they were able to stretch that lead and run away with things in the second half. He had 18 points against UC Irvine. You look at his last 5 games. UC Irvine, 18 points. Wisconsin, 19 points. Washington, which was the Pac-12 championship game, 20 points. The Pac-12 semifinals against Arizona State, 18 points. And in the quarterfinals, he had 20 points against Utah. So he has been north of 18 points the last 5 games, and his over-under is 14.5 as well at the Westgate Superbook. I'm going to take the under. I just think either it's Clark, Kyle Guy, if they throw DeAndre Hunter on him, I think UVA is going to find a way, especially with this amount of time to prepare for Oregon. I think they find a way to slow down Peyton Pritchard. So I'm taking the under on Peyton Pritchard. I'm taking the over on Kyle Guy. And yes, I'm going anti-public and taking UVA minus the 8.5. They have been a great team. People think about the fact that they lost last year to UMBC, didn't look great against Gardner-Webb. The crazy thing about that Gardner-Webb game is, yes, they were down at halftime, but they really should have ended up covering that game because they started to play so well in the second half. So I'm taking UVA minus the 8.5. That is going to be my number 1 play of the weekend.